Welcome everyone to 3 messy IEP mistakes that you can fix and the first steps to becoming a Master IEP coach. I'm really excited to dig in with you on this hot topic of special education, what's happening and what you can do right now, because there's a lot of parents and teachers who feel really helpless, exhausted, panicked about what's going to happen next. Lots of changes constantly ongoing. Lots of struggles trying to figure out what is best practice at this time. So I want to welcome everyone who is here. Please let me know in the comments where are you watching from, and if you are currently already a Master IEP coach or signed up to become a Master IEP coach, go ahead and tell me there. I would love to meet you. I'm glad that you're here live. If you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, I'll be explaining a little bit about that as we go. But it's important for me to teach with you today about what you can do to make a difference no matter what your role is at the IEP table. For those of you that might be here for the first time, go ahead and let me know that too. Welcome. My name, Catherine Witcher, but I've been in the special education community for over 25 years professionally, but I've been in the special needs community my entire life. I'm a special needs sibling. And I understand the education process from the inside of a family's home. And it looks different than anything that you could have expected or assumed. Unless you have that perspective, you really don't understand the full picture of what's going on behind the scenes from a family's perspective. And that's okay because you haven't had that experience, but I can't wait to share that perspective with you. Then I became a special education teacher, got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. I decided I was going to fix everything in special education from the inside of my classroom. All of the teachers who just heard me said that just laughed a little bit because, you can't fix everything. We're not going to even fix everything today, right? We're not going to be able to fix everything. But what I found is, during my time in the classroom, I was teaching by day and I was coaching by night. I was coaching parents and teachers, my colleagues, my bosses, my students, parents, and their friends on how to make this IEP thing work. Because I had the family experience, I'm really passionate about making sure that an IEP makes sense, not just for short term, not just to do good on the state testing, not just to make progress on any old goals, but to make sure that the IEP is really making a difference for the future. I'm really stuck on this purpose and findings of an IEP, of IDEA law, and I hope that you get stuck here too. And this part of stuck is a good way. Okay, this is a good thing. When we talk about the purpose and findings of IDEA law, and that's everything that I'm going to be talking about today. It's going to be based on the federal concepts. This isn't about your district, your state. This is about what needs to get done overall. I'm going to be referring to IDEA law. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just telling you where to look, okay? And my favorite part, like I said, is the purpose and findings. And that's because there's a statement in the purpose and findings of IDEA law that says that every child gets a free and appropriate public education. We know that. That's what causes all the arguments in special education. Because what I think is appropriate is different than what you think is appropriate, which is different than what they think is appropriate, right? So it's all different. But it also says to meet a child's unique needs and to prepare a child for further education, employment, and independent living. This IDEA law that is really governing our IEP process, it could use some changes. Yeah, it could use some updates. But the issue really is that we don't use the law the way that it can be used to prepare a child for the future. So as a teacher, as a speech therapist, as a BCBA, as a parent who's here, get rooted into the foundation of the purpose and findings of IDEA law, and that everything we're going to talk about is so a child can be prepared for further education, employment, and independent living. All right, I'm going to check over here at the comments here. We've got Anita. She says, can't wait to begin. So she must be signed up. Let's see, she signed up 2 weeks ago. Awesome. Which means that you probably sent an email that said, I get to. And for those of you that don't know what that is, I'll share in just a minute with that. So Anita, you'll be getting your 2 on there. Let's see. We have Ramonia, who's watching from Lawrenceville, Georgia. Awesome. You can see I'm a little jealous of Georgia right now because we're stuck in a snowstorm. Christy from South Louisiana. Hello. Steve says, when will the link or information be sent to access the Master IEP Coach training? there's actually a secret link in the email that you already have, Steve. In the signature of the email, it says that I'm the founder of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship. I'm also, since you asked, we'll just jump right to it. That's okay. I love getting straight to the point here. So let me go ahead and post the enrollment link. So at any time while you're watching, you can go to this link and take advantage of the bonuses that are on that page and this upcoming Master IEP Coach Mentorship. All right, so we have Steve is watching from Ohio. Awesome. I've worked in Ohio. That you guys have an awesome independent school, I want to say called Monarch, and I did some consulting over there. Let's see. We have Tennessee from Jenna. Hello. Great to see you. Love it. Let's see. We have Jennifer from St. Louis, Missouri. First time here. Welcome, Jennifer. We have Aya, who's from New York City. Love it. We have Miss Bella, who's from New York, too. Anita says, I do get two. Let's see. We have Ariana, who's watching from Texas. Welcome. Lisbeth, who's from Washington. Marlene from California. Annie says she's in Madison, Wisconsin, in the middle of the snowstorm with me. So, Annie, stay warm. Pour yourself your favorite latte, and we're just going to like buckle down here. All right, let's go ahead and get started on the first of the 3 mistakes that we're going to talk about today. And while I'm going ahead and I'm sharing this mistake, go ahead and share down below, what is your role at the IEP table? Some of you guys already emailed me. So I know that we have about 50% parents and 50%, I'll say professionals. So it's teachers and speech therapists and OTs and BCBAs. And I think parents are the professionals at the table also, but you know what I'm saying, okay? So let's talk about these 3 mistakes. So go ahead, tell me what role you have at the IEP table while I start to dig into this mistake of old school parent input statements. Every one of your IEPs, whether you're a teacher and we're talking about your students, you're a parent, and this is your child, every IEP has an area on there that says something like parent educational concerns. Parent educational concerns, parent input, parent vision statement, parent something, okay? There is a box somewhere that has the voice for the parent. I will tell you, majority, like way over majority of the time, that box says something like, Mom has no concerns at this time. Seriously, have you ever met a special needs mom that has no concerns about their child? No, there's always concerns. Or it'll say, parents are worried about child transportation. Or it'll say, parents are worried about no reading progress. That's a little bit better, but not quite where we want it to be. When I was a teacher and I walked into the classroom for the first time and it's completely empty, it's like being on a special education island. I had a milk crate full of IEPs and I opened it up and I started to look at the goals and present levels and what am I going to have to do as their teacher and what materials am I going to need and what's going to happen. And then I went to that parent section. And there's a reason that I went to that. I can vividly remember. I can remember the color of the milk crate. It was green. I can remember exactly what the classroom looked like. And I know why I went to that parent section. Remember I told you I'm a special needs sibling. I know that if my mom was happy with what was happening in my brother's special education program, she wasn't calling the school. She wasn't talking to the teacher as much in a negative way. Okay. She could relax a little bit. So I knew that what the parents wanted was really important to make sure that we were all on the same page and moving forward. That parent input section, quite honestly, they were terrible. It was terrible. So I'm, like calling parent teacher conferences and I'm like kind of walking that line of being like, hey, this isn't really filled out right, but I'm not going to call out my colleagues or my boss or anybody else or let you know that this was really done wrong because I don't want you to get upset. I just want to do better. So I started asking questions. So where do you see your child, in a few years in middle school? I taught 1st through 3rd grade. So what are you thinking? Oh, I'd love for them to be able to walk the halls and switch classes like their sibling, and maybe use the locker and do those things. Awesome. Okay. Like, what type of things do you guys do in the community? What kind of social activities? What kind of communication? What kind of vacations? What are some of the routines? And then I would ask questions like, what frustrates you at home? Let me see if I can help you in the classroom. So basically we narrowed it down to 4 different areas. We had I think sometimes I label 5 because I break up social and emotional. So just go with me. We have communication, we have the social emotional, we have academics, and we have like behavioral sensory kind of things. Those are really the areas that we were talking about a lot. Those are the high impact areas that a parent was worrying about at night. And being able to compile all of these areas into a parent input statement and give the parents a voice at the IEP meeting that feels comprehensive, that feels all inclusive of what needs to be happening at school. That doesn't mean we can do all the things all the time. Okay. But it does give a great direction for a child's IEP, because what's the purpose of it again, right? To prepare a child for further education, employment, and independent living. You as the teacher are not going to be doing that part. After 22, some states a little older, but at least to 22, that's our job as the school to help. And then the parents take over. So if I prepare the child to be independent in routines and things that are not meaningful to the parent's going to think when the child turns 24, like, why didn't they address that in school? And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to close this gap between school and home to school, and what needs to get done long term. There are things that you can do. And let me give you a real huge kind of hack for teachers. When you get this parent input statement nailed down with parents, your job becomes so much easier, because I know that your brain as a teacher is like, okay, this child has a reading deficit. I could work on this. I could work on that. I could do this. I could do that. There's all different things that you could be doing with this reading deficit. But if you have an awesome parent input statement, that will help you guide and narrow down and get everything kind of going in the same direction inside of your brain of where you can focus, that's going to have the biggest meaningful impact, not just in school, but after school. And yes, this is even at the younger years. Even when we're talking, kindergarten and first grade, third grade, these are things that you can be pulling together for this bigger vision. All right, I'm going to hop back over to the comments here so I can see who I'm hanging out with. We have Miss Bella's a parent, Jenna's a special education team lead, we have Tiffany's a parent, Anita's an educational therapist in a private practice, special education teacher Anne Marie. We have somebody from Arizona, jealous of Arizona right now. Parents, special ed teacher. Do you guys see we're about like 50% parents and 50% professionals? And that's what the Master IEP Coach program is all about. The Master IEP Coach Mentorship is something that I built a few years ago because I've been doing this for decades. And people have been saying for a long time, can you teach me to do what you do? And I said, no. I don't know how to package this up. I don't know how to explain to you how I do it. I don't even know, I don't want to write the workbooks. I don't want to do the things, because let's just face it, technology is not where it needed to be to really run a mentorship in depth. I was going to have to do in-person workshops and I'm thinking, no, we can't do this. It's going to take weeks. We can't learn everything in a day. And I'm like, no. Well, welcome to technology. And I'm kind of a tech geek. I love it. I love all things tech. And finally, I had a group of parents and teachers inside of the Special Education Inner Circle, which is one of the programs that I run. And they said, can you please teach us to do what you do? They said, we're getting so good at helping our own students and our own children that we want to help others. We want to learn how to create an income. Some of them wanted to learn how to become PD speakers, so professional development speakers in school. So teachers who want to do that. We have parents who are like, I have parents who are willing to pay me, but I don't know how much to charge, because they just want me to fix the IEP. And I know how to do it now because you taught me, but how do I make this happen? So that's where the Master IEP Coach Mentorship came in. So finally I said, all right, I got it for you guys. Master IEP Coach Mentorship, it's ready. And that was, I think we're going on about 4 years now. And it's been just an amazing journey. And it is the only program that is built for everyone at the IEP table in a collaborative, creative way. We say that we're the idea bringers, solution finders, problem solvers, team builders on the IEP team. Master IEP coaches do all different things. Sometimes they work one-on-one with families. Sometimes they work in schools. Sometimes they're traditional advocates, and they decide that they want to do things a little differently. They're getting burnt out in their role. In fact, sometimes the parents are getting burnt out and the teachers are getting burnt out, and nobody feels like they can leave their role. So why not make the role better? And that's what Master IEP coaches do. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and pop this link because it got lost in the feed wherever you're watching, I'm sure in the comments. And you can take a little bit of a peek of what's going on over there at the Master IEP Coach enrollment. And I'll be answering questions about the Master IEP Coach mentorship as we go, as we get onto this second and third mistake that we're going to fix, because this is the last Master IEP Coach mentorship of the school year. Because I'm going to be pouring into our Master IEP coaches during this session and our current Master IEP coaches, because this is going to be one of the biggest IEP season chaotic hot messes that you've ever seen. And Master IEP coaches are amazing at straightening things out, and I love to guide them and dig in with them. So this is it. This is the last mentorship. I do have to share with you that Amanda is here. Amanda is a special needs mom, and I love how she puts this. She says, yes, I was just an autism mom, and I love the mentorship. Amanda, she knows, and she says that a bit cheeky because she knows that she was, more than just a mom, but she's been able to help families and have a voice and grow her influence and her impact in the autism world. She's connected to other parents. She's serving them. It's amazing to see the work that she's doing. So Amanda, thank you for showing up here and sharing that. Okay. So now let's go ahead and go to our second problem. We have a huge problem that's happening right now, and it's accommodations and modifications without accountability. Who here, raise your hand, put your favorite emoji in the comments, has experienced that something was supposed to get done in the IEP and it didn't get done and you don't know who was supposed to do it? Now, you might assume that you know who's supposed to do it, but you don't really know. Like you didn't see it on paper. Like you didn't say like modified worksheets, classroom teacher. It didn't say like, let's see, we have extra set of books and then who was going to make sure the student had it? What about we have extra time on tests, extended wait time? How about using visuals? Anybody have in their students or their child's IEP that they're supposed to be using visuals? Who makes the visuals? Who teaches the child how to use the visuals? Who teaches the parent how to use the visuals? Who changes up the visuals? Who makes the visuals that we need beyond the everyday routines to go with the story that the teacher's reading? These are all the things that cause chaos behind the scenes in special education. Remember, I was a teacher, okay? So when I looked at the list of things, remember I told you I had that milk crate filled with IEPs, and I'm going through and I'm figuring out, like, first I figured out, like, okay, this is where my students are at. This is what the parents really want. And now I have to pull together all these details. And I'm supposed to do all of this and run the classroom. And I've got some help of some paras, some classroom aides. But really? I'm supposed to do all of this? It's amazing what you can get accomplished when you learn how to delegate within the IEP and you know who is accountable for what. Because here's the thing. Here's another question for you. Give a little emoji in the comments if you've ever experienced your child or student going to what we call specials, right? So art, music, PE, library, that they go to those things and their accommodations or modifications are not implemented. The gym teacher is not providing visuals for the game that's being played. The art teacher is not providing visuals, if that's one of the accommodations that are supposed to be done. Visuals for step-by-step of what's supposed to be done during that art class. You've experienced that, right? So who's supposed to be doing it? Should the art teacher be doing it? Should the classroom teacher be doing it? Should the art teacher be doing it? Who's supposed to be doing this? The thing is there's no real right answer. It falls onto the case manager and the district to make sure that the IEP is being implemented. But we don't have to get to the ugly part of holding people accountable in the way of trying to throw them under the bus to get things done if we can get things delegated ahead of time. So can you agree that if you learned how to write accommodations and modifications with delegation attached to them, that there would be more accountability and that things could run smoother because we would know who's supposed to be doing what? That doesn't mean we can't help each other out. It's just like, okay, but if the parent has an issue of what's happening in art class, then it's like, okay, are things broken down step by step? Is there extended wait time? Have things been pre-cut? Have expectations been clearly laid out? Is there a motivation plan set into that classroom? Is the art teacher actually teaching the child, or in the child's being part of the classroom, or the aide and the child's walking into the classroom, sitting in the back of the class in hopes not to disturb anybody, maybe get an art project done, and then they leave? See, that's not going to work either. That's not how we do inclusion. That's not how we get a child included into a classroom, which requires accommodations and modifications, and it requires all teachers being involved in that. I get a little passionate about this part because so many times the things that I see fall apart inside of an IEP could be avoided if we would actually pay attention to this part in the way of accountability and delegation. It's hard as a colleague, like with your colleagues, to figure it all out. But once you have those tough conversations and everybody knows who's talking to who about what and who's responsible, it's so important. So, okay, like Tiffany says, my daughter typically has a one-on-one accompany her, but the solutions didn't work, including the necessary visuals. Yeah, the supports weren't there. So who's responsible for that part? So, and sometimes you're responsible for things and you don't intentionally not do them. You just forget. But when things are so important, like having that necessary visual for your child to be able to access their education, we can't forget those things. Let's see. Anne-Marie says, it's super exhausting. I've struggled with goals and not being able to meet them because they were unreachable. Yeah, so we got to talk together as a team and say, okay, like this is not working. We're setting a child up for failure. Let's recalibrate. Let's look at this parent vision statement. Let's look at what supports we're already putting into place. Let's figure out what's needed for further education, employment, and independent living, and let's pull that all together. Are you guys ready to do that? Yes. Yes, just say yes. You're ready to do that. You're ready to get out of this exhausted, tired teacher and panicked parent roles and this confusion, this chaos, and put it all together in a way that makes sense. And this might sound like pie in the sky stuff that I'm talking about, but I can guarantee you right this minute, there are Master IEP coaches, hundreds of Master IEP coaches that are out there working with clients, families, and schools and putting all of these things into play. It's being a team at a whole new level because you're bringing new ideas. You're saying, you know what, we don't need to fight about this. We just need to redelegate. We need to stop, look at the big picture, take some things out, put some things in, and figure out what needs to happen next. So I'm going to share with you, you guys, I started the whole I get to, right? And you're probably thinking like, what does that mean? I get to. And what the Master IEP Coach Mentorship is, it's a training and development program for parents and teachers and IEP team members who want to make a difference in their current role and help out in the community also, whether that's in their current role and just feeling really confident in the leaders in that, or you want to expand your role and possibly get paid for your expertise as an IEP expert, which is what I've been doing for over 20 years. This has been my full-time gig for a really, really long time. And I show you everything behind the scenes. And I came across this quote. I got my cheat sticky note, so I always get it right. Here, the American Society of Training and Development, which is what this is, Master IEP Coach Mentorship is not just an online class, it's a training and development for parents and teachers and IEP team members, says that if you commit to making change, you are 65% more likely to meet that goal, to meet that change. So basically, if you tell somebody else and you commit to a training program, you're like, I'm going to do this, and you tell people about it, you're 65% more likely to do that than if you just say, oh, I really need to get better at this IEP stuff, or I wish I could do something different, or I wish this didn't stress me out, or I wish it didn't take up so much time. You guys are saying that sometimes, right? I know, I did that when I was a teacher. Totally get it. All right. So you're 65% more likely. And I love that. I love that if you sign up for the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, you are 65% more likely to improve your role on the IEP team. But here's what got me. The next statement from the American Society of Training and Development said, you have a 95% chance of meeting that goal if you have a specific accountability appointment. So here's what I did. I was like 95%. Yeah, I'm going to help every Master IEP coach who signs up reach those goals. Okay. So what happens when you sign up for the Master IEP Coach Mentorship? Because you're right here, you're watching, whether you're live or watching the replay, but you're here, you're watching. Okay. You're going to see on that enrollment link that you get a one-on-one coaching call with me when you sign up, that you get one-on-one coaching call. Because you're here and I want you in the 95%, I'm giving you 2. So what's going to happen is we're going to meet up and I'm going to find out who you are and how you want to improve your role on the IEP team. So whether you're a parent, teacher, admin, therapist, current advocate, whatever that is, how do you want to improve your role? Do you want this to be something that creates income for you? Are you in it to become a leader as a special education teacher or admin? Are you a parent who's like, I just want all the things for my own family and I may want to help other people. I'm not quite sure yet, or I'm 100% sure I want to. I need to know those things so I can help you. Okay. Then I'm going to give you a second appointment. And your second appointment is going to be your accountability appointment. Don't worry. It's tough love in a great way. And we're going to have actionable, measurable things that you can do. So if you've ever thought about this or you've tried and you've got stuck, we're going to get you unstuck. We're going to get you moving forward, and you're not going to do this alone. So you're going to have a second appointment for accountability. So that's why when you sign up, you're going to send me an email that says, I get to. And that's how I know that you watched this webinar, our live stream here, and that you're here, you're learning these mistakes, you're all in, you're like, yes, I want you to know who I am and what I want to do. And I want you to help me set those goals. What are the exact steps that I need to take? And then, I'm going to hold myself accountable by showing up to a second appointment. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that. So that is exciting. I love this. I'm going to love meeting with you guys, not just once to get to know who you are, but then I'm going to help you reach those goals with that second appointment. All right, let's go on to let's see. Oh, I'm going to ask, I see some questions down here. Let's see. Anne-Marie says, do you hold these sessions? I love this. Only during the school year. I'm interested, but I need to finish my master's first. I know there will be a summer session. Last year was our first summer session and went really well. It actually takes place starting, I can't remember if it's the end of June or beginning of July. And it's right around the time where we have Master IEP coaches across the nation. And we started a VIP Master IEP Coach weekend in July in the Midwest. It will be in Milwaukee. It won't look like this here. So we'll be having a VIP weekend. So if you sign up as a Master IEP Coach, you'll get an invite to that event in July. So no, Anne-Marie, there is an option in the summer. This is the last one for this school year. All right, let's go here to our third messy IEP mistake that is happening, and that's keeping low priority IEP goals. With everything that has happened over this past year, can you believe we're going on a year? It feels just surreal, right? Everything that has happened over this past year, there's been some things I can almost guarantee in every one of your conversations, at some point there's been, well, let's not work on that right now. Let's focus over here. And whatever you weren't working on right now inside of that IEP document has gotten pushed further and further and further down the priority list. Now, remember, I'm obsessed with making sure that everything is preparing a child for further education, employment, independent living, and that it's wrapped around this parent input statement. So if something is not meeting that criteria of being important to the family, of preparing a child for further education, employment, independent living, is that something that you really need to keep in the IEP or prioritize? Now, inside of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, I'm going to teach you really simple strategies to figure out a good IEP goal from a bad IEP goal. And here's the thing, a bad IEP goal might actually be good for somebody else, right? Because I'm not talking about how to write SMART goals. That's a formula. The formula of making sure that it's specific and measurable and actionable. That's a formula. You can learn that formula from Google. I'm not going to teach you things that you can Google. In fact, inside of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, it is a trademarked program, like through the United States Registered Trademark Office. Like I had to prove that you just can't Google this stuff. I had to prove that these are unique methods in changing special education. So learning how to decide a good goal from a bad goal, meaning an appropriate goal from a not appropriate goal, a high priority goal from a low priority goal, learning how to do that is so key. Because why would we waste precious time between a certified teacher or a certified professional at the school and the student? Why would we waste the time if it's not a high priority goal that's going to help a child reach their potential in further education, employment, independent living? An IEP never contains everything that a child learns. It should contain the highest priority goals in those areas of further education, employment, independent living, in those areas of communication, academic, social, emotional behavior, whatever applies to that child, with the parent input, with the team expertise. And so many times there are low priority IEP goals, as in, like, if the child never learned this goal, would their world fall apart? No. How many of you guys learned something in school that you never used again? Now, we all had certain things, right? Like we're sitting in, algebra and we're like, what? We're never going to use this. Yes, we use that in some way. Okay. I'm talking about, here's the thing. I'll give you a very direct example. Again, from a special needs sibling standpoint, I saw a lot of this negotiation happen behind the scenes of what my brother should and should not be learning. And I watched my family negotiate this. I became a teacher and I got, some other information of like, oh, well, maybe we should be working on this, or just kind of reinforcement of, no, that's not important. So I'll give you an example. And this changes by decades, meaning some things that were important in the 80s are not important now. Correct? Like, do y'all use a payphone? No. No, you don't use a payphone. Why are we learning how to put quarters into a payphone? Are you serious? No. Are you looking at analog clocks all day long? I'm not saying that a child can't use analog clocks. Don't give me hate in the comments over analog clocks. What I'm saying is, should we stall a child's progress in learning time management, chunks of time, things that could be done with a timer and digital clocks? Should we stall things and not go further in the curriculum just because analog clocks come first in the curriculum? No, we shouldn't. Now, there was a time, I'll tell you guys a funny story. Every time I do one of these, different stories kind of pop into my mind. And my brother used to wear a watch, and the school was only going to teach him digital time. And back then, my mom said, oh no, he needs to learn an analog clock because his father wears a watch and he wears a watch, and only the geeks wear digital watches. Because you have to remember, way back in the early 80s, digital watches were like this big with like a calculator attached to it. They were weird. It was different. Kids his age were not wearing them. Okay. It just like, it wasn't a thing. Now, my brother still wears an analog watch, like a regular good old fashioned watch. But if you ask him what time it is, what time is it, Robert? He'll say 12:30. Yep, 12:30. He double checks himself. Right on his phone. We all do that. Okay. So we're talking about high priority, low priority. We'll go through some really key examples on how to choose IEP goals that make sense. So, all right, let's talk a little bit. You guys can ask questions while you're here. Absolutely. I'm going to show you a little bit more inside of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship as I wait for your questions to pop up here. Remember, when you follow the link that I put in the comments and you sign up, you're going to get 2 one-on-one coaching sessions with me to make sure that you reach your goals and whatever your role is at the IEP table of taking it to the next level, helping yourself and helping others if you choose, okay? So let me go ahead and share with you something. Let's see, we're gonna go to something really simple. And everybody thinks that IEP advocacy has to be angry, it has to be combative, it has to be complicated. There are many parents, for my parents that are listening, have you ever contacted the school over and over about something and felt like your voice was not heard? I can tell you that we have strategies that are broken down into one sheet, 3 to 5 bullet points, one sheet with keywords that I'm going to teach you that do not throw teachers under the bus, that do not trigger admins to push back, but actually brings the team together in a very formal way. This is not a sugary sweet letter. This is not something that you deliver with donuts. Don't ever do that, guys. Okay. Don't do the donut thing at IEP meetings. We can talk about that, but seriously. Okay. But this is something that it's a business form letter with specific words from ideal law that will help a parent communicate clearly why certain things need to happen next, put their request in writing, and get responses typically within 24 hours with a desired result of what needs to happen next for a child. It can be kind of scary sometimes as a teacher or an admin to see a letter like this, but on the other hand, it's also a relief because it's not an emotional letter. It's not asking for things that are not achievable within the school system, because remember, we provide an appropriate education, not always the best education. There are some limits inside of our education system. It's okay to acknowledge that. But what if you could learn this structure where you could absolutely communicate in 1 page or less, 3 to 5 bullet points, and get the results that you want? And for my teachers and my admins that are here, this is an awesome structure to learn what words you can use with parents to help communicate clearly, because you are kind of playing under a different vocabulary, different words, different educational background, and bringing it together with this type of communication is huge. I'm also going to share with you, let me go ahead and stop that. And let's see, we have a couple of questions. I have an IEP reevaluation meeting pending. I'm getting the runaround from the school on retrieving data. On average, how soon are students able to implement what they learn in the course? Immediately. I will tell you, it was Amanda who was watching earlier. She actually made back her investment into the course before the course was over, because she was helping her own son, and then she helped other parents. She put it into practice as we go. I am a hands-on mentor for you. That's why we're meeting one-on-one. That's why we are digging in together into who you are and what do you need to get done for your child, for your students, for your role, for your short-term and your long-term goals. Because I want you to be able to put this into practice right away. Just like you could take the information from this morning, from earlier when I was talking and I said, parent input statement. Now, I give you the exact outlines. I give you examples. I show you how to get it all done, but you're going to be able to implement that right away. Those letters that I just showed you, you're going to get that. You're going to be able to implement it right away. This is not something where it's, 12 weeks of studying something and then you figure out how to use it. That's not my teaching style. Every week, you're going to get some lessons that are pre-recorded every Monday, because it sets the foundation for what we're learning that week. Then you'll have 3 live sessions through the week that are absolutely recorded. Don't worry about missing anything. Remember, I told you I was a teacher, special needs sibling, which means that I know that your lives are busy. So it's set up for the busiest lives. So you get access 24/7 to a Facebook group to ask questions, and then I will answer them during the live sessions, or I will type you out an answer. You'll get the recordings of those, and then you have your core curriculum. And here's what I love is that every session is a little bit different. Every mentorship is a little bit different, which means that if you have specific questions that I'm like, oh, we don't have a 10-minute video with a download that goes with this to answer that question. Let me create one for you. I've been doing this for long enough that I can find just about any resource, or I have access to experts who can do that. However, I will tell you that this is one of the most comprehensive courses that you'll see when it comes to practicality and use and making a difference as fast as possible. All right, so let me go ahead and I'm going to flip this back over. Remind us that we are working on further education, employment, and independent living. And I'm going to share with you let's see here. Let's go here. Just so you know, when you click on the link, this is what you're going to see. And this Master IEP Coach, mentioned that I wrote you a letter here that will talk about what you're going to learn, how it's all going to work. You're going to see Alexandria's picture there. She loves to work with twice exceptional students. And she said, Catherine Witcher, thank you so much for your kindness, wisdom, and helping me fulfill my passion of helping IEP teams work together collaboratively and build inclusion for every child. So if inclusion is something that is near and dear to your heart, and by the way, I'm not talking about inclusion where you take a child who learns differently and plop them into the classroom with or without an aid for 20 minutes and then they leave. I'm talking about building inclusion where a child, no matter what their ability level is, and no matter if they receive all of their direct instruction in a specialized classroom, that they are part of a school community. That from the time they step onto that campus to the time they step off, they are part of that school body in a whole different way than they are right now. Because it's not just about where you learn reading at. It's about how you're treated. It's about how you're included at a different level. So Alexandria loves to work on that. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and answer your question here. Aya says, how do you join the Facebook group? Facebook group's not open yet. So if you've already registered to become a Master IEP Coach, you've already enrolled, don't worry. You'll get the invite to join the Facebook group about 2 weeks before we start. We start February 22nd, and you'll get an invite to come into that group about 2 weeks beforehand so I can get to know a little bit more about who you are and how I can help you reach your goals as a Master IEP Coach. I'd love to share with you a little bit about Angela West Brown. Angela West Brown was hired by Georgia State University Ideal Program as a Master IEP Coach to create a training for students with intellectual disabilities and their parents. So I love to teach you inside of the mentorship of, how to collaborate with your community organizations and make sure that they are reaching their highest potential and serving students of all ability levels. So Angela loves to partner with colleges. I have Lisa, who's a Master IEP Coach, who partners with different school districts and different organizations to provide transition camps in the summer, meaning camps for teenagers so they can get ready to be independent in their further education, employment, independent living. So we also have, this is Nicole. Nicole loves to show collaboration right at the IEP table. She's a little bit more traditional in what you might think that a Master IEP Coach would do, but she was actually pulled aside by a special education director and asked how they could work together more. I will tell you that it's not the vibe that happens when most advocates show up to the table, right? That's why we're not advocates. Master IEP Coaches are leaders in the IEP process. That is different than an advocate who perhaps might be using the law as a weapon or using things in a different way, having a different tone. That's not to say that all advocates are like that. Let me just make that very clear. I am very close to many advocates and what they do and their process in doing that. That is not what this is. This is a collaboration at a whole different level. This is actually an administrator who will send Nicole clients because the parents are struggling on how to work with the IEP team and figure out what is most appropriate to prepare their child for the future. How do we decide which curriculum should be best? How do we work on how much time and inclusion with support, without support? And then what do we need to do about direct instruction? Those are tough decisions, not just for the school. Those are tough decisions for a family. And so to be able to bridge that gap and have somebody who's independent, who then the parents can hire and work with to help work through all of the feelings and all of the facts is really important. So I want to make sure that you know, when you head over to that enrollment link, you'll see the 4 modules that you're going to get. We're going to spend 5 weeks live together inside of the community with our guest experts, getting your lessons. You're going to have progress coaches. And then you're going to get, oh, there's our trademark. Super proud of that, guys, because again, I want you to know that this is not something that you can Google. This is not just special ed facts. We have Courtney, who has been with us since the very beginning. And wait, I'm getting to it. There we go. There's our t-shirts and our certificates, because let's just face it, we all love a little swag. So when you signed up to become a Master IEP coach, and you say that I get 2, which means that you're going to get 2 of the one-on-one coaching sessions with me to help you through the IEP process in your role as a Master IEP coach. You're also going to get a t-shirt. You're going to get a certificate. You'll get an invite to our VIP event in Milwaukee so you can hang out with other Master IEP coaches. I've got some other big surprises that are happening here in Milwaukee this summer for Master IEP coaches. So if you have questions about this, please do not hesitate to put those questions in the comments. I'll be looking through those for the rest of the day. Of course, remember, if you sign up, send me that email that says I get 2, so I can make sure that you're on our list. And again, this is our last Master IEP Coach mentorship of the school year. We will have one over the summer, but I will tell you, this one right now is what you need to get prepared for this spring. This spring, there's going to be ugly words that are being thrown around, like compensatory education, due process. I don't want you to have to, hear those words, use those words, be afraid of those words. I want you to, be like Nicole, where we just said, where the special ed director's like, oh my gosh, what just happened? This was amazing. How do we make this happen more in our district? I want you to be like our other Master IEP coaches. We have Heather, we have Stephanie, that are teachers that are leading other teachers through this process and helping them make the best decisions possible through one of the toughest school years we've probably ever had, if not the toughest school year we've ever had. So you can be like, like Angela, who is partnering up, and like Lisa, who are partnering up with community organizations to bring inclusion at a whole new level within colleges and community programs. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. Remember, you got 3 things that you can fix in the IEP right away. That's that parent input statement, making sure that accommodations and modifications have accountability attached to them, getting rid of low priority IEP goals, and of course, taking the next step to become a Master IEP coach by following the enrollment link. And I cannot wait to work with all of you who have signed up, because it doesn't have to feel exhausting and just overwhelming and like you're just trying to stay afloat. It doesn't have to be that way. I promise you, there are progress happening all over the country inside of the IEP teams to help make sure that every child is getting their appropriate education to meet their unique needs, to be prepared for further education, employment, and independent living. Ramonia says, if we sign up for the course today, does that mean we cannot access the course until February 22nd? That's true. That's when it starts. However, Ramonia, remember, you get 2 coaching sessions, so we can absolutely get that set up much before February 22nd. So in fact, everybody who says I get 2, even though the Facebook group's not open yet, somebody asked about that, I am going to be opening up my calendar for your first appointment for that. So Ramonia, I know you're concerned about time. We can take care of that for sure. Absolutely. We can touch base. I was just looking at Lisa's comment there. She says due process is awful. Yes, it is. In fact, when you go to the enrollment link, you'll see that I've been doing this for 25 years and I've never recommended that anybody go to due process. We've gotten through some of the toughest situations. And yeah, sometimes things are sticky. It's not all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns, but when you know how to navigate the mud and get through it, it absolutely can be a very productive and even joyful process when you see the positive impact it can have for a student. All right, on that note, guys, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you inside of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship.